Another broken plate, another called off date. We never seem to get it right. Another heart attack, words that we can't take back. We are the reason opposites attract. Once you slam the door on the second floor, I regret it all. When I think it through, I can help the way I feel for you. You make me lose my mind like all the time. It still feels right. Stuck in an endless fight like every night. It still feels right. Even the words can sing. I wanna change a thing, 'cause without you everything means nothing. You make me lose my mind like all the time. It still feels right. By the phone, hoping you'll answer yours. Baby, let's talk until we're fine. You've been in bed for days, empty without me, you say. Can't you just magically turn up in mine? Then you knock on my door on the second floor, and I feel okay. We just made it through, and I love the way I feel for you. Make me lose my mind like all the time. It still feels right. Stuck in an endless fight like every night. It still feels right. Even the words can sing. I wanna change a thing, 'cause without you everything means nothing. You make me lose my mind like all the time. It still feels right. Get it right, but it still feels right. We never get it right, but somehow it feels right. That's how I feel about you. You make me lose my mind like all the time. It still feels right. Stuck in an endless fight like every night. It still feels right. Even the words can sing. I wanna change a thing, 'cause without you everything means nothing. You make me lose my mind like all the time. It still feels right. Oh yeah, still feels right. 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 Oh yeah.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello. Wow, we have got people from all over the place today checking us out. I am so excited that you guys are here today. We are going to create a content plan, okay? So one of the things that I always run into when I talk to people and I work with people is that they struggle with coming up with a plan for their content. And as we all know, when we don't have a plan, it's a lot harder, right? It's a lot harder. I don't know about you, but I mean, we can create content. And when we have to make it, we can do it, right? But it's a lot more comfortable if we have a plan in place. We can be way more strategic. You can align your goals with you can align your content with your goals, which makes a whole difference. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So welcome and hello, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. We've got folks in the house from Norway. We've got Nyla. She's from the UK. We've got Susanna here. She's hanging out with us from Rio Rancho. What's up, sister? How are you? No ugly Christmas sweaters. In from my kitchen whilst I'm preparing our traditional Trinidadian Christmas fruitcake. I just had fruitcake the other day, and growing up, I was not a fruitcake person, but I gotta say, I'm kind of a fruitcake person now. I'm kind of a fruitcaker. So that's pretty exciting. Super fun, super fun. All right. Susan's here as well. Hello, Susan. I just tweaked and changed my my little look there because I want to make sure y'all can see it. But here's the deal. So I'm using an application called StreamYard. StreamYard is a live broadcasting application. It's freaking awesome. I love it. I can display your comments. I'm going to be able to share some slides with you as we go through today's presentation. And I can multi-stream. So that's the first thing I want to say is that we are live. We are live on my Facebook page. We're live on my YouTube channel. And we are live inside of my Facebook group, which is called DIY Marketing with Melanie. It's an open community. It's for anyone that is doing their own marketing, DIY style, which I like to say, kind of scrappy, right? But as I always say, my theme in life and in marketing and in business is we can be scrappy, but that doesn't have to mean crappy, right? So all right, so we have all kinds of people from all over the place. I want to say hello to everybody. If you are new here, I would love to know if this is the first time you're hanging out with me. Just say new in the comments or something, and if you are new here, you know what that means? That means I'm new to you. I'm Melanie Diane Howe, and I help people market themselves using social media and scrappy strategies. And what that really means is we're DIYing it, right? We're DIYing it and we're doing it without breaking the bank, without creating a lot of stress and overwhelm. I have been doing this for years. I'm a self-taught marketer. So I'm a DIY marketer as well. And I literally geek out on figuring things out. So I like to spend all the time. I see something like that countdown timer that you guys watched as we got started today. Well, I see all the pros doing stuff like that. And I'm like, well, I want that, but I don't want to hire a videographer. I don't want to spend money on complex software. The other thing is I don't want to learn complex software. Screw that hootenanny, right? So what I want to do is I want to learn how to do it and find the easy way. So I spend a lot of my time doing that stuff. That's what I love to do. And then I love sharing all those tips, hacks, duct tape formats, whatever you want to call it. I love sharing that stuff with everybody else. And so that's what I do. I help people put themselves out there. So putting themselves out there, putting themselves in their own content, share their gifts with the world. And one of the ways that we do that is when we market ourselves is social media. It's one of the greatest ways that you can get to know people, make connections. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today as well. And so that's what I do. So hang out with me here on YouTube, Facebook, join our Facebook community. Again, it's called DIY Marketing with Melanie. And just a reminder for my DIYers, as I call my community members, if you're watching from the inside of the Facebook group, make sure that you click on that little link up in the description so that I can see your face and your name when you're commenting on our broadcast today. So for those of you that aren't aware, if you're inside of a Facebook community or private group, Facebook wants to protect your privacy. And so since I'm multi-streaming, if you're inside of my group, you just have to give StreamYard, the application, permission for me to see your face and your name because I could display it. So for example, this is one of my DIYers, of course. If they don't click that link, then this is what I will see, which is what you can see so we can protect everybody's privacy. Now, with that being said, I will say that Facebook has been making in fact, all the social platforms have been making updates to their platforms lately. And the crazy thing about that is that when they make updates, all the other applications that integrate with them, for example, StreamYard, they have to make updates as well. That's why on our phone, every time there's like a new big iOS update, you'll notice a lot of your apps have to update as well. Same with computers, all the same stuff. Shit's constantly getting updated, you guys. And right now, there's a little bit of a glitch when it comes to some of this little authentication thing going on. So even though some of my DIYers might be clicking on that link, I may still not be able to see them. So anyway, we also have Haley here from South Africa. What's going on? Good hello for you. It's the get into the evening here over in South Africa, right? So Violet's here from YouTube as well. Hello, Violet. It's always good to see you jumping in. And of course, Tara's here from Anchorage, Alaska. Tara, it's always so good to see you when you join these live streams. And good morning to you, Tara. I know that it's morning for you, of course, as well. So Nyla says this is her second time. Fantastic. Nyla, actually, and Tara both joined my boot camp. So Nyla, I owe you a video. I've been busy all day, but you're going to get that personalized video response from me here shortly. So really excited about those two joining the boot camp. So, what's up? Hey, Bez. Bez says he saw me over on Live Streaming Pros. Hello. Welcome, Bez. This is obviously your first tuning into my show. I was recently over with Luria Petrucci over with Live Streaming Pros, and that was a ton of fun for sure. So yes, Susan, duct tape, right? I'm all about the duct tape, you guys. I call it like duct tape marketing methods. Sometimes we duct tape stuff together. So we figure out how to make maybe 3 apps do something that one expensive, complicated app does by itself, but we use the simple stuff. So, all right. I'm excited. So we are going to have some fun today. So today we are it's going to be like a little workshop. I hope you're ready to take some notes because we're going to get up in this stuff. Okay. So we're going to go into, I'm going to share with you some ways for you to develop your content, some mindset, some things to be thinking about as you're developing content. And then I'm going to share with you some really cool ways to plan and plot that stuff out. So we are going to get into this. I would love to know, tell me in the comments, have you ever created a content calendar before? Now, content calendar, I'm going to go ahead and just say it could be pen and paper. It could be you writing your plan out on paper. It could be you using an application like a calendar app. It could be you using something kind of cool and fancy like Asana, the project management tool. I love Asana. Maybe Trello. Don't really care. Let me know if you've ever created a plan. I kind of think I know what a lot of our answers are going to be on this one, but I'm just curious to know, have you ever created a content plan? The funny thing is so I've been in business. I went on my own in 2014, but was in marketing for a corporation before that. And I remember having to try to having to try to work with our director on creating like a calendar, and like pretty big company, we struggled with it. And I remember I was like Googling stuff. I'm like, there's got to be like a template out there. There's got to be some resources. And I found lots of resources, but I also found that lots of people were struggling with this. And then I remember as I went into my own business and started my own agency to help small businesses with their marketing strategies and plans, nobody had a plan. And so I know this is a common thing for sure, but Michaela says never. She's never come up with a plan. Yeah, I see you, Angela. I see you today. Hello. So, Billy says, I have one. 3 times a day posts. I break down business, lifestyle, and value posts. I love that. Breaking it down. That is actually one of the tactics we're going to get into today. And you guys, that is such a good strategy when it comes to creating your plan, is breaking them into categories. We're so going to talk about this. Haley says, I've attempted to create a content plan, but not followed through on it. Hey, you're in good company, sister, for sure. Angela says, printed paper calendar, and I scribble all over. Yeah, pen and paper's fine. That works for sure. Definitely. Let's see. Nyla says, nope, haven't done any formal content planner. Tried keeping it all in my head. Yeah, I know. And that's, Nyla, we got to save room in that brain of yours. We got to save room in that head so that you can share all your gifts in your content, your actual content, right? Nicole says, emphasis, all caps, just started working on one. I got a groovy planning book for 2020, but COVID blew up my plans. Go virtual school. Yeah. Woo! All those kids, e-learning. Yay. Right? I got a little kid. For those of you that don't know me, I have an 11-year-old daughter, and Addison is her name. And she's been hanging out at home. She hung out at home all spring. Luckily, she's been back in school this semester, but right now she's on Christmas break, and she's actually hanging out with her dads today. So, all right, let's see. I'm looking at these comments. Wow. Let's see. Angela says, mine's not really a plan, but create content and schedule posts a month ahead. Yeah, I get it. I totally get that. Yeah, Susanna says, I just started my plan in Microsoft Project. That is awesome. Microsoft Project is like one of the OGs of project management tools, right? I actually used Microsoft Project a long time ago. That's fantastic that you're using that to create your plan for sure. So Tara says, I make lists all the time and love checking things off. I have Asana, but don't use it like I should. I guess I like paper. Yeah, you know what? Lots of people use, my strategy, I have a podcast episode about this, is I start out with Trello. I get all messy with my ideas. And then I move things to Asana for my plan. And then when it's time to really make it happen, it goes in a notebook for the week. And if I feel really scattered, then what I do, and I need to focus, you guys, you know what I do? Boom. It goes on an index card for the day. That it's like This is the only thing I'm working on today. That's it. And I just like it. I don't know. The index card helps me not get distracted by all the crazy stuff on my list. So we all know if we put too many things on our list, we don't get them done. And then it's like gets in our heads and we get disappointed and we just, whatever. So anyways, that's a rabbit hole we're not going down today, right? Okay, so are you guys ready? We are going to get into this. We're going to dive in. What we're going to do is I'm going to share my screen. I got some slides for you, but I want you guys to take some notes today. But also remember, we have this will be live. This is live, but it's also to be recorded. And I am going to make sure that recording is available to you guys. And there will be a couple of links that I have that I'm going to mention. So, for example, I've got a couple podcasts. I also have a couple of free resources for you guys that kind of go along with this class. And so I'm going to put all that stuff onto a page. So it's one big page for you. And so come back to this stream. You'll find that link. You'll be able to get access to that page that kind of has everything in one place for you. But definitely take notes today because this is definitely one of those noteworthy types of classes for shizzle. Okay, for shizzle, right? That's what I like to say. All right, so here's what we're going to do. The overall goal for when we are doing this process is that we want to be able to have our ideas, come up with our ideas so that we can then create a plan and then we can create. Now, again, one of the big reasons why we need to have the plan. So I'm sure we've all done it where you all have been like, God, I haven't posted for a while, or, oh my goodness. In fact, people like Billy, for example, who has a process, he has a structure. Most likely that's because Billy's gone through the pain before of not having a structure, right? And so, or Billy's just a really star student and someone gave him really good advice a long time ago and he's always had a plan, but maybe not, I'm not sure. But really, a lot of times people get hungry for the plan because they know what it's like to not have a plan. So here we are getting ready to start another year. And a lot of you may have said, hey, I'm going to create a plan this year. And we never got to it. We weren't able to really make that happen. And so here you're like, not again. I'm not going through this again. We've gone through the pain of having to say, oh my gosh, it's Monday. I have to write a blog post this week, or I have to create a video for the week. I haven't created a video for the week yet. And then you're scrambling. So it causes stress. Or you're literally sitting there and you're like, shoot, I have not posted to my stuff in way too long. It's been weeks, maybe it's been months. It happens. I've been there. I've done that before. And you're just like, God, I got to come up with something right now. So then you sit and you're literally looking at an empty cursor or a blank screen or a blank piece of paper. And you're just like, the pressure, you know what that does? That eats away at your creativity. So one, you can't be as creative when you've got a gun to your head to create content. The other thing is that a lot of times, maybe you're promoting something and you're in the middle of it and you're like, oh, you have all these great ideas. And you're like, I really wish I would have thought of that before. So you're not able to be strategic. And so one of the things that I really want to make sure is that you understand that there's a strategy benefit to this, but there's also just a stress benefit to this. And then Billy says he was wasting too much time thinking about what he was going to post instead of working on his business. Yes, 100%. As Billy said, you will waste time if you don't do this process in a process, right? If you're just kind of slapping content together all the time, then one, it's probably not effective content. It's probably not as good a quality as it could be. And lastly, it's going to take you longer. And so the ultimate goal is at the bottom of this little thing. You want to be able to work in batches. Okay, batching your content. If you listen to anybody who is successful in business, they will tell you create efficiencies in your business, reduce waste, find ways to work smarter, not harder, even though that phrase, I'm kind of sick of that phrase. I'm tired of it. But it's true. And one of the ways that you can work smarter in your content is to work in batches. Now, you can plan in batches and you can create in batches. And so when you plan in batches, when you're thinking about stuff and you're you have an idea, most likely you don't have one idea. Most likely when those ideas are rolling, you're rolling in the ideas. More than one idea is coming to you, right? Maybe you went to a conference. Maybe you went to, when we could go to conferences, right? Maybe you're, watching a live video and you're getting all these ideas. All of a sudden, all the ideas are coming to you. Well, don't waste that information. You need to put those ideas into a batch. You need to keep those ideas together. So my point is that when we get into the flow or into the zone of creative mind or creative thinking, our brain is actually wired to let those ideas compound upon themselves. And so not only do we come up with ideas in batches, but then the next thing is we do the work in batches. So when you're sitting down to write or you're sitting down to focus and record a podcast, okay, well, what does that take? You have to get the microphone ready. You got to pull up the software. You got to do the things, right? What if you're always starting and stopping that process? That's not efficient either. So you sit there and you say, today I'm going to record 3 podcast episodes instead of just 1. You're going to record 3 podcast episodes because you don't have to put the mic away. You don't have to close the software. You're in the mindset. You've got the water handy so that you can, get into the zone. The other thing is video. Not everybody gets dressed up and looks all great for video stuff every day, right? So maybe on Mondays, you get your outfits ready, you put your makeup on, you do your hair. You know what I mean? You do all that stuff and you create videos that day. Again, we think in batches, but we also do the work in batches. And that is truly what our ultimate goal is. It will help you be more efficient and it will help you create more content, which is honestly, when we think more content, don't think more time. More content because you're working more efficiently. You're able to produce more. And then also we're able to be more strategic and we're able to get more out there. So those are the things I wanted to make sure that you guys knew about for sure. So real quick, Billy, they're totally agreeing with you. Nyla says, I'm with you, Billy. I'm the queen of overthinking, but this is going to change. Nyla, man, we're going to get you down. We're going to demote you from the queen of overthinking, sister. We're going to demote you from being the queen of overthinking, right? All right. Nicole says, your podcast episode on going dark on social media really hit me. I don't want to keep going dark, and I got sold on the solution of a content plan. Fantastic. Nicole, I love that episode. That's actually my more recent episode. And I put that episode out because I knew that so many people needed to hear it. And because I've had so many conversations with people that are like, I get stuck and I go dark. And the next thing I know, it's hard to fire up the engines again. This is the same thing, Nicole. When we have a plan and we have a process, the engines don't have to get restarted all the time. You're in the flow. You're in the zone. You're working through it. So fantastic. Fantastic. Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay. Angela says this. She's like, I've started doing this and it helps so much, especially when writing. If you block out time and can focus, get so much done and so much faster. I totally agree. When you're in the flow, you're in the flow. So don't stop, right? Make sure that you build a process around your business so that you can do that. So this slide right here is truly the ultimate goal. This is the ultimate goal when it comes to why we are here. This is why you guys are here. This thing right here is the ultimate process that we want to achieve. So let's dive in and get going and go further, right? All right. So here's something that I always have to make sure we level set. Okay. We're going to level set really quick. Here's the deal. We're not creating content to sell. We are not creating content to sell. Say it with me. We're not creating content to sell, right? Our content and the reason why we create content and the reason why we want to be consistent and put content out there is to take people along the journey, the customer journey. We need to help them. We need to help them get ready. Okay. Your content serves a purpose, and the purpose of your content is to teach people, educate people, get them primed, but also help them get to know you, right? They need to know you because they need to know if they like you, right? They need to know if they can trust you. They need to know if the likelihood they need to get to know you, and then they need to know if they can trust you, which is when they buy. So if we focus all of our efforts and our content right here in this whole trying to convert them to become a customer, they don't even know us yet. They don't know if they even like us, right? So how can they even trust us to give us their money? So let's just have a quick refresh. The way that people go through our process is they discover us. They learn about us. So somebody here said, Bez said that he watched my live streaming pros, my interview with Luray Petrucci. Some of you are definitely new. Billy, I think that's where you connected with me. You saw an interview I did with Luray Petrucci in their content. So you discovered me, right? Well, then you're like, okay, who is this chick? I'm going to check her out. Then you kind of dabbled a little bit. Maybe you went to the website. You knew I had a podcast. Maybe you went and checked that out. You heard about the Facebook group, DIY Marketing with Melanie. Maybe you joined there and you kind of like dabbled a little bit in there, right? And so then you did a little research. You're like, oh, this chick's my kind of girl. I kind of like this stuff. I like this group. I like this stuff. I like the stuff she's helping me with. And then you subscribe. Now, there's an opportunity for you to subscribe, right? There's an opportunity for you to either download a lead magnet. There's an opportunity for you to, maybe it's just liking my business page. And when I say subscribe, it's just attaching yourself to me. You're attaching yourself to me somehow that says you want to continue to get to know me, right? And then eventually you're going to get presented with opportunities. Opportunities could be download this episode, join this free masterclass, download this free checklist, join the live video boot camp, right? You're going to be presented with an opportunity. Now, if I just went out of the gate immediately before anybody knew me at all, you're less likely to buy from me because you haven't gone through that journey just yet. And so our content, that's what our content does. So people discover you, they need to consume your content. They need to be able to know what you can help them with, right? What your style is, right? So not everybody's going to like me for who I am. I say, shit sometimes and ass and sometimes other things. I mean, I do. It comes out sometimes, right? And if that's a really big deal to some people, then that's going to repel them. And that's okay. That's no offense to anybody. It's just simply they may not like my style. And there's plenty of people that don't like my style, right? There's some people that don't love my style, but they love my teaching. And so it's just that process, right? The same thing's going to happen with you. They're going to get to know you. They're going to decide. Then they're going to be, if they can go through this process with you, they're going to be a better connection. They're going to be a better customer. They're going to be a better fit. They're going to know your style so that if somebody just jumped right in and they were like, whoa, this person is not my style. I do not like them. Well, now they're like an unhappy, uncomfortable customer, which is uncomfortable for them and it's uncomfortable for you. Right. And it could be uncomfortable for other members in your store, your community, whatever it is that you might be. Right. And so we don't want to make anybody uncomfortable. So we actually want people to go through this process. Now, quick note on timing when it comes to this process, because I think that sometimes people are like, man, I don't know. I just thought my content, like, how do I make that work? Like, how do they go through these things? Some industries and some businesses and some personalities and some brands, this process is fast. So people are going to kind of come into your world and they're going to exit your world, or they're going to continue or they're going to make decisions that they want to keep going down this process. I should probably go like this because that's the direction of the thing, right? So they're going to decide that they want to continue on. Like I said, subscribe, then maybe stick around, maybe hang out some more, have some more conversations, be involved in your group, join your program, buy your products, subscribe to your sale, whatever it is. Some industries, this process is fast. In some industries, this process is slow. So I always use the example of the plumber. That's a fast process because when you need a plumber, you got a problem. You got a problem and you need it fixed, and you wanted it fixed like before it happened. And so you are going to the fastest, you are going somewhere and you are pretty much like, who's the first on the list? Who's the first plumber on the list that I can call? And you know what? You know how you decide whether or not you trust them and have them come? Did they pick up the phone? How fast can you get there? And maybe is their price correct? Right? But imagine if you've already had a plumber issue before so that process is fast, quick, right? And so what's really important in that content is the content needs to speak to their need, urgency. It needs to speak to, pricing. So we hear sometimes service providers are like, we'll be there within an hour or it's free, right? There's like a heating and cooling company here that's like, that's their promise. Like if we're not there within the hour, it's free, so that's because they know people want urgency. So their content talks about the urgency. It speaks to problems. You need to be able to do the same thing. Now, if you have a relationship and you had to use a plumber before, you're more likely to just call the person you had come out before, right? That's an advocate. That's a person who's a loyal customer. Now, some processes are longer. Some journeys are longer. People need to be convinced over a period of time about what they need. They need to come along. So Angie, I'm going to pick on Angie because I know Angie because I've been working with Angie for years. She's been a follower of my podcast. She's been in my community for a long time, right? She's joining the boot camp. She joined the boot camp today, the live video boot camp. But here's the thing. Angie got to a point where she liked and trusted me, but she wasn't ready for video the last time I launched this boot camp. At least she didn't think she was. I'm going to tell Angie that she could have been, right? But she wasn't ready in her personal journey in her business. Her business was still growing. She was still honestly embracing social media. And she was still trying to figure out what content do I want to do. But now that she's gotten really good at some other things, and now she's convinced, she's ready. She's like, I'm making live video my thing in 2021. So now she's bought that program. So some of the journeys are based on just your, whether or not they get to know you for a long period of time, but it also has to do with their process, right? And so every industry is different. Every industry is different. And every client is going to be different. And so the reason this is so important is because your content, the job of your content is to take people on this journey so that they can make a decision about whether or not they're going to stay or go for all the reasons we talked about and others, or whether or not they're going to get to that point where they're going to be ready. So that's why I say the job of social media is not to sell. Of course, there are places and there's times when we need to make sure people are aware of the opportunities for them to invest with us and to take things further, of course. But the overall arching job of your content is not to sell. It is to nurture and to help people and to get them along their way on this journey. So I always have to start, anytime I talk content, you guys, I'm sorry, I go down a tangent, I go down a rabbit hole. I'm very passionate about this. And it is simply because it's important. It's extremely important. And so I just always make sure everybody understands that. So now that we're on the same page, right? We're all on the same page. So Billy says, especially being a financial advisor, people have to trust me and like me. 100%. Are you going to go just schedule some random meeting with somebody you saw his name in on the website and you're just like, I don't know this guy at all. I don't know from E from Adam, but I'm going to go in there and talk about my personal finances. Hell no, you're not, because that's intimate and scary. That's scary stuff, right? You want to make sure that this guy, knows his stuff. He knows what he's talking about. And you need to know you're going to mesh with him. It's kind of like a therapist, right? You go work with a therapist. You need to make sure that you mesh with them. It's really important. Susanna says, I like your style. Well, that's sweet, Susanna. I'm glad that you like my style. I'm glad that you're here. Okay, let's keep going. All right, let me get back to this. Okay, here's the overall way that we're going to create ideas. We're going to go through 3 things, okay? You're going to start by coming up with categories. This is the easiest way for you to come up with content, is to start at the high level, the top level, categories. And then within each category, you're going to develop topics, okay? The topics that's your content. So the categories are the themes, your content pillars, buckets, however you want to describe, or however other, marketing people have described them to you. Essentially, these are categories. Okay. And then under each category, you're going to come up with specific topics, which are really, that's the nuts and bolts of your content. But you're also going to have to decide what formats are you going to use. So Billy made a comment here. He says some of his biggest clients came from doing videos. So that's a format. Videos is a format, format example. So you're going to make sure that you know what formats you want to use. Now, jumping ahead a little bit here, Billy says some of my biggest clients came from me doing videos. I'm going to go ahead and beg to differ. I'm going to go ahead and pretty much make an educated guess that Billy's going to do more videos because of that. Billy knows the videos have worked. And so you know what he's going to do? He's going to focus on videos in 2021. I'm pretty sure, and I already know that because Billy's in my DIY marketing group, and I just know that, and I know that Billy does lots of videos, but that's why he's going to do more videos. So formats is also important when it comes to this content plan. Okay, so to help you kind of get a better idea about what I mean by categories and topics, this is an example of some of my categories and some of my topics, okay? And so personal branding strategies, I'm very passionate about personal branding strategies. Obviously, live hootenanny, video hootenanny, love live video. Honestly, last year, I really started to hone in on this area. I've been teaching live video for years, been doing live video for years, but last year I really just got even more passionate about it. I just have so much fun with it. I have so much fun teaching it, talking about it, learning it, figuring out new things that I was like, this is a area that I'm going to go into. This did not used to be an overarching category for me. Live video used to be a topic for me. And so the reason I'm saying that is because even if you're new in your strategy, or you're new in your business, or you're new in figuring all this crap out, I want you to know that this isn't carved in stone. You can actually do that very thing that I just described can happen. A topic that you talk about could eventually become a category, which means it's going to move up. And then what you're going to do is you're going to get even more specific underneath it. So for example, if I'm talking about marketing, what marketing should you do in 2021? Like marketing strategy could be my category. Live video could have been one of my topics, which it used to be. But now live video is a category and I go deep. So I go deeper in live video. It's truly one of my things. And I have programming. My programming is around live video. So that's an example. Another one is tech and apps for marketing. This is one that was funny. This used to be topic level as well, but I literally geek out so hard on software and apps. And like I said, being able to duct tape things together. A lot of people that are in the live streaming pros community know, and if you're in my Facebook group, you know that I've recently learned how to make my own GIFs. So I've learned how to make my own GIFs, however you want to say it. And I was able to figure out and learn how to also bring them into my live stream like this. I mean, come on. How fun is that? It's so fun. I can blow your mind, right? And so we have fun with this stuff. This is one of those things that I like figured out how to do. And I like to figure this stuff out. So I went ahead and decided I'm going to go ahead and make that like an overarching category because I literally geek out on it so much. And one of the things that's really important in your content, you have to love it. You got to love to talk about it, and you got to have fun with it. And so if there's something you're passionate about and it's just fun, go all in. As Billy says, double down, right? Double down. So, let's see here. Okay, moving forward. So you're going to do the same thing. You guys, do you see this? It's a table. Do you know how to use Google Sheets? Do you know how to use Excel? Go for it, right? Just open up a Google Doc and do this. Just start coming up with these ideas. Categories first, topics underneath, right? We're going to talk about some ways that you can come up with ideas too, but use things like the tools that you know how to use. Like Andrew said, grab a notebook and just one page would say personal branding strategies, and then just start writing a bunch of shit down. You know what I mean? Just start writing a bunch of stuff down. Literally, that's all you have to do. Don't get fancy. Get fancy later. Whatever you need to do. If it's a voice app to yourself, I don't care. What's really important is that you structure it this way. That's what's important. And then you categorize it, or you capture these ideas however you need to capture or categorize it. Okay? All right, let me see here. Nicole asks a very good question that's related. So she says, what are your thoughts on having a personal category so that people get to know you as a person, for example, hobbies, interests, etc. So this 100% depends on you and your business and what your personal boundaries are. So one of the teachings I do with personal branding is I basically say, you are responsible or in charge of your own boundaries. So some people, for example, they don't post anything about their kids on social media. There's like not a thing. Like Billy Klink is a good friend of mine. A lot of you probably follow Billy Klink. If you don't, you should. He's amazing. He doesn't post anything about, I know he has a daughter. We know he talks about having a daughter. There's nothing about his daughter online. Nothing. He may share relative stories because he's a father, but for the most part, he does not talk about those types of things in his personal content strategy. However, Bobby talks about his love for beer in his content. So again, some people might say, oh, it's because he doesn't want to get too personal. No, it's just that there are certain things that are off limits, and that's 100% up to you. Now, what I would say, and I do think it's actually smart, and there's a lot of people that say your strategy, your content plan, that you should actually insert a line item, if you will, however you want to develop your plan, to have some of those personal things. For people like me, I don't really have that in my strategy, if you will. And that's because I literally am transparent like 90% of the time. Like I talk about having a kid. Heck, Addison half the time makes an appearance in some of my videos. She's, hanging out, walking over here. You know why? Because she's around all the time. And she's just involved. And I don't mind her being involved. And so I don't really have to, I drink beer and cocktails in my live videos sometimes. Like I don't have to insert that line item. And that's simply because I think that my personality, which is of course, just if that's my personal brand, it's kind of already layered into it. But if you're somebody who says, hey, you know what, I want to actually have some fun with this, and I want to theme some of the personal interests and hobbies into my marketing and let people get to know me. So an example of this would be Amy Porterfield has a dog, Scout. And Amy Porterfield's a course creator. She teaches people how to make online courses. But one of the things that she does is she actually sometimes will specifically use Scout in her content. And I think that's because over the years, people have gotten to know that she has the dog, but she's almost like had fun with it and made it like this like fun way where Scout will actually like be in her content and be sharing information. So, there's all kinds of ways you can do it 100%. So great question. Very important, actually, because that question typically does come up. So thank you for asking that, Nicole. Okay, here's how you're going to come up with topics. So categories. Oh, let's start with your categories. Let me back up for a sec. Your categories. You are going to come up with your categories. These are the overarching themes, high level, okay? I would recommend you come up with, honestly, I would say you absolutely 100% minimum must have 3, but I'm going to tell you that I would recommend you have 4 to 6. Now, when I say 4 to 6, what I really mean is like 3 really, really core ones, and then 2 to 3 others that are like more outlier. Okay. Outlier stuff. So an example of outlier could be me. So I focus on personal branding strategies. I focus on live video. I focus on the apps, right? Well, I probably, because I have a podcast, and because I think podcasting is an amazing format for people to use in their personal branding content strategy. I tend to talk about podcasting quite a bit. I talk about it because I'm a podcaster. I have a podcast. I have a very good friend, Crystal Profit, who literally her jam is podcasting. Her category is podcasting. Like her category is like, her main category is podcasting. And then she has categories about podcasting within that, right? And so she's a guest in my content all the time. So some people might think podcasting is one of Melanie's categories. It kind of is, but it's an outlier category. So 3 really core categories or themes, and then you can have some of those lighter ones that you maybe touch on a little bit less, okay? So I wanna make sure you know that. You've got to come up with those categories. So the categories, if you're not sure what they are, start by brainstorming and thinking through what the categories would be, but then also think about the stuff that comes up a lot. Think about the stuff that you, one, enjoy, as I talked about earlier, that you're passionate about, that's fun for you, and then also the stuff that comes up in the conversations. And sometimes people say, well, I got a bunch of topics, but I don't really know if they fall into categories. Okay, start to look at all those topics, but then let's see if we can organize them into categories, okay? So I find it much easier to start with categories and go from there. But if you don't know what your categories are yet, just brainstorm a shit ton of topics and then look for the themes and put them into categories. Okay, let me go back to my screen. Okay, here's how we're going to come up with topics. I want you to think about the people in your audience, your ideal customers, your actual customers, your prospects, the people you want to work with. And if you're not in business where you have a bunch of customers yet, well, who are you talking to? Who's in your communities? Who are you hanging out with, right? Who do you find that is following you? Talk to them, find out what questions they have. Pay attention to their questions. The other thing you're going to do is you're going to find out, where are they stuck? Where do they tend to get stuck? For example, with me, I happen to know that a lot of people, when it comes to creating videos, whether it be live video or anything else, is they literally hate how they look on camera. They do not like how they look on camera. They are concerned about the quality of their camera. They're concerned about looking their best. So I talk a lot about, here are some great cameras that you probably don't need to go spend a bunch of money on that are going to make you look great. Because it's true. There are some really crappy cameras out there that you're not going to feel confident in the content itself. It's not going to look good. It's going to be weird as far as color goes, and all that stuff. But you don't need to go spend $900 on a camera. You probably have a really good camera built into your phone. So sometimes I talk about that. The other thing is lighting and some other ways, good tricks to help you look better. Because if you don't have good lighting, you're going to be all shadowy and you're going to look like you have bags under you probably have bags like we all do, and they're going to show up more, right? So sometimes I talk about things like that because I know that's where people get stuck. They won't go to the next step, which is one of the things we talk about too. What are the obstacles that they face? What do they need to learn to get to the next step? So literally, do you find that sometimes you're like, God, like Billy, financial advisor, if you're just like, dang it, if they would just create a freaking budget, then they would know how much they want to spend on that investment. Okay, well, great. Well, why, you start with, why won't they make the investment? Because they don't have a budget. They don't know how much they want to spend. Okay, great. Well, why can't they? You work backwards. And if they're always getting stuck on the same thing, like, you know what, why they won't create a budget? They don't know how. They don't feel like they have a tool. They don't have a template. Okay, great. Make a template. Teach them how to use it. Teach them how to do this. Your content can help them get unstuck, but it can also help them move to the next step in the process. So what are those steps that they get stuck with? The other thing I want, you've got to be able to be creative too. So there's always all these strategies out there about listening. Do all this listening. Do all this social listening. Listen to your clients. Listen to your prospects. Go get in Facebook groups and pay attention to the questions that your ideal customers ask. Here's the thing. Sometimes people don't know what they don't know. Like, you know what they need, and they may have no freaking clue. So sometimes you're going to have to actually push some things into their direction. So people aren't always going to be asking for the content. You may actually have to push content to them, right? And so always think about that too, that the answers are not always going to come from your audience. That's something that I talk about a lot, because while I do know and I believe that we need to be listening to our clients and hearing what their problems are, but there's a lot of times, especially in certain industries, they don't have any freaking idea. So you've got to be able to be intuitive, and you know what they need. And if they don't know it, then you've got to find a way to teach them and work them in along that process, just like that customer journey we talked about earlier. So So that's really important. Something I wanted to point out, there's really no great place to put this. I just wanted to put it here randomly is I want you to also leave room for guests. So when you're coming up with topics, okay, so when you're thinking about these things back here, well, maybe there are some areas where they're stuck and you're like, I am just not the expert for that. Right? Well, then can you bring a guest on to help them? So an example would be inside of my boot camp that's coming up that I'm getting ready. We're literally getting started with all January. I asked one of my friends, Heather Sager. She's amazing. She's really good she helps people like craft, she's a speaking coach. She helps people speak on stages and have really good presentations that can lead. She just helps, like when people are like, can you do a presentation and trying to organize your thoughts? She does all that stuff. You know what she also does is she helps people craft their story and tell their story, because storytelling is really important when it comes to speaking, keynote speaking, and all those things. And she works with big names. You know what? I'm not very good at telling people how to tell their story. You know why? Because for whatever reason, I was born with a gift that I can tell stories. So I don't really know how to teach something because it's honestly super duper natural to me. And so I asked her to come in. I'm like, they need to know how to do this. They need this, but I'm not the expert with it. So I'm bringing in Heather to be the expert. It's an area that they're stuck. It's still something they need. It's related to what I do and help. And so I'm bringing in a guest in. So leave room for guests. And I want you to brainstorm. When you have these things, I think what happens is people get really stuck and they think, okay, well, people need to know these things, but that's not an area of my expertise. For example, Facebook ads. People ask me about freaking Facebook ads all the time. I am not your girl. I am 100% not your girl when it comes to Facebook ads. But I also know it's important and my people need to know it. So I'm looking for guests to come in and talk about digital advertising, Instagram ads, Facebook ads, right? And so bring guests. Don't put the topic off the table. Put the topic into a different bucket, and maybe it's a guest category. And you say, here are some goals that I need to be keeping my eye out for people who can be a guest and can help share this content. So leave room for guests in your content strategy as well. Okay. All right. So we're going to talk about we talked about coming up with developing your categories and developing your topics, but you also need to decide what format are you going to use. And the reason why formats are important is because some formats are going to require different, time, different equipment. And so that's going to go into your plan. You're going to think about your plan a little bit. So that's why it's important. So here are basically the formats that you have to choose from for your core content. Now, really quick, let me talk about core content because I think it's important. Core content is, so there's your social media content, which is just all the stuff that I always do this because it's like little stuff here and there, little things like picture, a quote, yeah. And then core content is like the meaty stuff, right? So it's videos, so pre-recorded videos or a live video, of course. If you've been around here, I like live video, right? And then there's podcasts. I also have a podcast as well. And then of course there's blog articles. Now, you may have all of these formats in your marketing. That's okay. But probably you have at least one of these that's super duper your core, right? So you might be doing live videos all the time, but your main focus is podcasting. So you probably have one core format. You may have more than one, which is totally great. But if you're like, I'm kind of all over the place. Sometimes I do live videos. I dabbled in podcasting, or sometimes I write a blog post. Every once in a while I pre-record. Like if you're all over the place, what we need to do is you need to go ahead and decide you need one core format for 2021 and you need to stick to that. So let's do one core format. And I'm going to talk about repurposing in a moment. So just because you do podcasting doesn't necessarily mean that you're not allowed to do live video or other stuff. So we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But the whole point is you need to decide what's your core format. Now, going back to all those topics and all the information that you're going to be sharing, what's the best format for you? How do you determine what format do you use? Well, for example, if you are a stitcher or a crocheter or a knitter and you are teaching people how to do that stuff, podcasting is probably not going to be the best format for you because it's not going to be visual enough. So you need to use something that's more visual, whether it be pictures and steps, or whether it be video, or whether it be, live video or pre-recorded video. What's really important is that you decide the format that's going to be best for you to share your gifts, but also what format is needed for them to consume the information. Okay. And then the other thing you need to squeeze in there as you're making this decision is, what are you going to do? What are you going to create and do it consistently? If you are like, I don't even have any interest in creating audio at all. I think my audience would like it, but I would much rather just do videos, like live videos, because it's easy. You just, click go live and go. There's not a ton of setup. It's pretty simple. Then that's what you should do. There's two things. What is the format that will be best for you to make it happen? And what is the format that you are going to actually be able to keep up with? So determine the format. Really important part of your strategy as well. Okay. Next, you need to create a plan, right? This is the calendar. This is the schedule. We have ideas. We know what we want to do. So what's next? You need to create a plan, right? Let me check in on you guys real fast because I need to make sure you guys don't have any questions. I think I have a couple questions. Let's see. Billy says, I need to have a guest. I need to have you as a guest on time. I think he means mine. Tell people to go live for their business. Yeah, they do. Your business clients, I'm assuming you're talking about. I'd be happy to be a guest for sure, Billy. Okay, let me look here. Nicole says, what about one core format for public and one core format for a Facebook group? For example, blog for public, live video for a Facebook group. I do think that can work. I think that if you have a blog that's being shared to the public, I also would want you to share that in your group. So anything that's core format, anything that gets shared publicly, most likely is going to come in and be shared to your group as well. So don't assume that just because it's on your public page that your Facebook community members are tuning into your Facebook page. Most likely they're tuning into your group. So I would say make sure you leave room to share that core item inside your group as well. Now, you could, of course, share the article and then later that week go live and have Q&A about it too, right? There's all kinds of ways to do this, which I love doing that. That's one of the things I love to do. So you can absolutely have, and you should have, a content strategy for your page versus your group because they're a little different. So I actually, it's really important. I have a podcast episode about Facebook pages and groups and why you can't abandon your Facebook page just because you have a group. And so think of your group or your Facebook page as that discovery point. That's where people are discovering you. But one of the opportunities for them to take it to the next level with you, the opportunity phase, right, is to join your group. And so, yes, you may have a different content strategy for the group because they're further along in that journey, right? They're further along in that funnel for you. And so your content itself inside your group might be different than the content that's on your page because they're in a different place, right? For sure. Okay, let me see here. Lynn says, I plan to do live video weekly on the same day each week. If I can't make that day work each week, would it be fine to do a pre-recorded video for that week? It actually is. So I actually don't mind this strategy. One of the things I will say to you guys is absolutely like best practice to be consistent in regards to the day and time of the week if you can, for sure. Some people can't. I know for me, for a long time, I did not do the same day and time. I was kind of like still trying to figure out what worked both for me, but also for my audience. And it was all over the place. And only just recently did I start to be really consistent with that as far as when I do my live Q&As inside of my community. And it's definitely been better for me. But it doesn't mean like, for example, it's usually Tuesdays at 2. Well, today we're doing a class. Like I'm going to do Q&A, of course. I'm going to answer your questions, like duh. But today it's a class. I'm not doing the normal format. Today I'm doing a free class. It's a workshop, but it's still when my group members are used to hearing from me. And so, yeah, and if there's a week that I have to skip, maybe I'm like in Jamaica, right? And I'll have internet and I'm on vacation on the beach, like drinking some cocktails and getting a suntan. Well, I could do a pre-recorded video as Lynn mentioned, and I could even say, normally I come to you guys live, yada, yada, yada. This time I'm doing a pre-recorded video because I'm in Jamaica right now, right? Now, and you could schedule it. So you could actually schedule that to go and release and publish at the time you normally would be live. Now, what I would say is the strategy of your pre-recorded video might need to be a little different than the live video. So for example, live videos, you get a lot of live interaction. You get questions, you answer those questions. That sort of dictates part of the flow of your live video. But when you're pre-recorded, your pre-recording needs to be pretty meaty because people aren't going to be able to engage with you. And half of the beauty of live video is that engagement, right? And all that stuff. So your format and your strategy behind that pre-recorded video might need to be a little different. And so that's something to think about for sure. So for definitely. All right, cool. Nicole, thank you for being here. You're going to catch the rest of the replay. Fantastic. All right. So we should keep moving. We're getting into this. That was a great question though. Very good question. I'm sorry, I have this habit that I clap, and I need to quit doing that because it probably is very loud for you guys as I clap right in front of my microphone. So, all right, here is the way we're going to create a plan. Let's talk about creating that plan. The first step is that you're going to look at your annual plan. So what this means is you're going to look at it at really high level at a glance. Okay. And so holidays, meaning like, what are the holidays? What events are happening? What are you promoting? What do you want to be promoting? What are the trends? So an example I would give you is, let's say a jewelry store, or let's say, let's just say a jewelry store. Well, jewelry stores probably care about Valentine's Day. They probably care about Mother's Day, and they probably care about the holidays, Christmas time, right? And so that is an example of holidays and things. That's going to help dictate maybe what they're promoting, when they're promoting, and all those things. Now, when I say trends, a lot of retailers, just FYI, June is one of their slowest months of the year, most retailers. And so if that's the case, well, is that a good time for you to take your vacation? But also, is that a good time for you to be thinking about running a sale on some other items? Is that a good time for you to clear inventory? So again, be thinking about, you want to look at your annual plan at a glance, because that's actually going to help dictate your promotional calendar, which of course, all your goals, as I talked about, your content should align with your goals. So that's why this is really important. You want to look at these areas and work backwards. So, if you want to kick off a promotion, then you need to be making sure that you're priming the pump. So you might want to create a runway of content. We talked about the process as a journey. Your content is a journey, right? So when you have your content that can tell the story or help people work their way down the journey, well, the end result is when you're ready to finally pitch something to them, they've gone down this path. And so your content should do that for you. And so work backwards from what you're promoting and make sure that that's how you plot in the themes and the content and the topics, right? And so, for example, before I launched my video bootcamp, I'm talking a lot about live video in a lot of my content because I'm trying to get people to be convinced that they should be doing live video. And so I want them to be doing that. I want them to be thinking about it. I want them to be getting prepared so that then when I'm ready to open doors to the bootcamp, hey, they've been convinced. If I just randomly out of nowhere said, hey, by the way, I've got this video bootcamp because video is great, you should jump in the bootcamp. A lot of them are like, oh, no, I'm not doing live video. No, why? I don't want to do live video. They haven't been convinced yet. And so it's kind of one of those things where your content can convince them and take them along the journey. So that's why that's really important. And then, of course, you always want to leave room for spontaneity. Is that spelled right? Spontaneity. I hope that's spelled right. You always want to leave room for spontaneity. And as I said earlier, guess. And so what this means is be rigid in your schedule, be rigid in your plan. But if there's a really great opportunity that comes up, be willing to be flexible. So if somebody asks you to be a guest, be willing to go be a guest, but also, can you bring other people on? And did you just meet somebody? It's like, whoa, this person would be perfect. Like in a couple weeks, I was planning to do this, but instead I'd like to have them as a guest. Be willing to be flexible. Your schedule should be good and rigid, but it also needs to be able to be massaged, right? And so that's really important. I always like to make sure people think about that. Okay, let me, before I go into this next category, I want to show you guys something really fast. So let me do something. Let me move something over so you can see it. Now, this is a tool that I've used in the past, both for myself as well as clients. And if you are in my bootcamp, you actually will get this template. So you are going to get this template as one of the bonuses that comes along with it. And so you could create something very, very simple, right? You could create something very simple. You could create your own little Google spreadsheet if you want to. And you just plot in the holidays and you have your industry events, which you would plot in here. So for example, in October, if there's a conference that you're going to, great. You're going to go to that conference. You're going to meet a whole bunch of people. Well, that might mean that you want to make sure that you're going to have a strategy to capture leads there. And then you're going to want to be able to nurture those leads after you get back from the conference. And so your content after that conference might be important. That's why that's important to look at it that way. So your events, if you're hosting events at all, this would be promotions, programs, any of those things. And then of course, also look at your sales and your marketing calendar. What are you selling? Is there a seasonal thing? Like I talked about the jeweler, they probably care heavily about February. So they're going to want to do more promotions, more advertising in January so that they can seal more deals in February, right? Sales and activity trends. What are you campaigning? What are you promoting? And then of course, your budget. Sometimes some people say, man, we are cash poor all summer long, but we are cash we're good on cash the rest of the year, but summer we are cash poor. Okay, great. Well, then we need to make sure that you know about that and you can sit there and have a plan for that you aren't going to be able to spend a bunch of excess dollars on certain things. So that's why I like to throw that marketing budget one in there. But the annual planning, this template lets you look at it that way, but it also lets you look at it by quarters. And then of course it breaks it down so that you then can develop a plan for each month. And now this is a spreadsheet style. This is just one version of the way you can create this, but you can also create the same thing. You could do the same exact thing over in either a Trello app. This could be a category. Trello is free. So it's Trello.com. Go check it out. And then topic. This is how I come up with ideas. I just like to put ideas together, and these are cards, and on each card you can add the information. You can rearrange them so that they're in order however you want to do it. That's how you could brainstorm. And then you could look at you could actually go to Asana and actually put everything in as a task. So blog post. Oops. My computer's acting slow. Blog post. Video, whatever you want to do. And then you can actually put a due date on that thing so that you've got an assignment and you have a due date of when you want it to be done. And it's going to show up right there for you. So if you're like someone talked about Microsoft Project earlier, this would be an amazing tool as well. So Microsoft Project, though, is also a tool you can use. I'm not going to sit here and tell you the tool for you to use for you to go put your content in the actual calendar. What I am trying to tell you is I'm helping you with the strategy, because I know everybody. And I remember when I was researching this stuff and it was like all over the place. I was like, there are spreadsheets, templates, there are apps, there's everything out there. And there was nothing that really was a perfect fit, right? Some people, it's just pen and paper, a printed calendar. I don't care what way you create your plan, but I want you to go through it. I want to help you think through the plan. I want you to create that plan for 2020 so that you can sit there and your whole goal is you get back and you say, now I'm going to work on my content. I'm going to work on it in batches. And so that is really key and really important. So let's get back to it. Pull this back up. Repurposing. Repurposing is kind of like magic. So we're talking about creating more content in 2021 because you have a plan, but repurposing is another way that you're actually going to create more content and also needs to go into your plan. So let's talk about repurposing. What is repurposing? Repurposing is actually the process of you taking your core content and getting more out of it. Okay. And so there's some ways that we do that. One method is the core content swap. The core content swap is essentially a video can be recorded as audio. So if I do a live video, I can export that video and then I can make or I can export the audio from that video and turn it into a podcast. Okay. I did not do this when I first started my podcast. I wanted to just kind of but now I'm pretty comfortable with it. If I know I'm going to repurpose a video and put it in audio, I'm going to approach that video a little differently, maybe, right? So this is why it's good to be thoughtful ahead of time. It goes the other way around. You can actually take audio and create what's called an audiogram, or put the audio behind some slides that kind of change, or a little video that's kind of soothing. People on YouTube actually listen to podcast episodes on YouTube. That's their place. That's where they hang out. They subscribe, and you release a new episode. Well, it doesn't have you talking. It's just got you. It doesn't have you visually on screen, but it's got your audio talking to them. You can find these things out there. So you can create audiograms as well. Audio can also be converted to a blog post or a transcript. So you can use a transcript and actually use it to create a blog post. Now, if you have a podcast, you should be publishing blog posts that include what are called show notes. Show notes are basically the written, it's like a blog version of what you said on the podcast. For me, my show notes are fairly short. Other podcasters, they have very long show notes. This is great for SEO. So you can take audio and you can say, hey, I did this podcast about the 5 methods of XYZ. Well, great. Take that exact same thing that you did on audio and just put it into written form and create a blog post. Okay. The other thing is that a blog, so let's say you write a blog post, because that's just kind of your way. I know Angie King, for example, she's really good at writing. She gets in the zone, she can write. Well, guess what? That blog post that you just wrote could now be used as a script or an outline for you to go live and do a live video, or for you to record a podcast, right? And so repurpose your core, the core content swap. Audio can be used as video. Video can be used as audio. Written stuff can be used as scripts or outlines, right? And vice versa. So you can do this yourself, or you could hire a virtual assistant or an intern or somebody. You can say, hey, I did this video for YouTube. I need you to go in and actually, now I need you to take that video, watch it, and write a blog post that's basically the same thing, right? You can do that. There are VAs out there, virtual assistants that do all those things, and it's fantastic. Okay, next up, we've got the core content breakdown. And what this is when you take a core content piece, like a video or a podcast, and you break it into bite-sized social media posts. So for every podcast, I have this podcast out there. It's like 11 tips for a better profile picture. Well, I could take each one of those tips in that podcast, and I can make social media posts for each tip, right? Or I can make a social media post that's 3 different tips in one. Most of the time when we have core content, we have core concepts, 5 bullets, 3 bullets, 10 steps to do this, the 3 things to think about for this, the, whatever's, right? There's usually a format that has multiple bullets in it. Each one of those bullets, if you will, or areas could be broken into its own bite-sized social media post. The other thing I'm going to say is that if you have a big piece of core content and it's a big, heavy topic, those bullets you could also take that exact same bullet and it could be a topic, and you could go deep with that topic. Remember when I was talking earlier and I said live video used to be one of my topics, not my category? Well, that's because I was finding myself talking about it. So I actually moved live video up and I went deeper with live video. So you could do the same thing. You could find that too. The other thing is to create teasers and previews. So inside of, you could, like, if you have a video, you could take one little clip of that video, maybe 30 seconds, and you could go use it and put it on social media, and it'd be one of your tips that you shared. And then you could say, for the rest of these tips, make sure you go watch the whole video. This is very popular on IGTV. Instagram has basically made this very easy for you. So you can create a video, you upload it to IGTV, and then it literally lets you make your own teaser clip yourself. And that teaser clip goes in the newsfeed. People watch 1 minute or whatever, and then it says, watch the rest on IGTV. They're clicking through. That's a social media version, but I would like you to think about doing the same thing in your core content as well. So your core content's on your website, and then create the teasers that go out on your social. And then of course, people love a good quote. They love a good quote. So if you said something really epic, like a lot of people have been quoting me lately, the whole scrappy, not crappy thing. And if you've got a good quote, use it, make that quote, make it its own social media graphic, put it out there, talk about why you said what you said. And then basically say, check out my video on this topic, blah, 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 right? So this is taking and repurposing your core content by breaking it down. The other way, oh my goodness, what is that? Thanks, appreciate it. The other thing is resharing your content. And so one of the other strategies is actually, oh my gosh, are you serious? Let's get that fixed. That was funny. I've never done that before. Current slide. There we go. Captions. There you go. All right. So resharing content. When you write something or you share a core piece of content, guess what? You can share it more than once. In fact, you should share it more than once, because just because you shared it once doesn't mean that, one, all your existing followers saw it or had the chance to tune into it. Maybe they need to be reminded of it more than once. Or maybe you have new people in your world. Your list should always be growing. Your followers should always be growing. And so when that happens later down the road, you should be able to say, like, for example, one of my most popular podcast episodes is the one I did about profile pictures. And if that's interesting to you, then go find it on my podcast. Maybe you're brand new in my world and you're like, oh, I didn't know she had a podcast, or I didn't even know she'd had that podcast episode. Sharing it throughout the year is totally needed and totally effective, and you should be doing that. Also, resharing content inside of your content. So if you have a core piece of content, then you could share it over and again and again. One of the podcast episodes, for example, that I refer back to a lot is the one I did about algorithms. This lets me talk about something, and then I'll mention the algorithms, and then I'll basically say, hey, if you don't know what I'm talking about the algorithms, go listen to episode 4. I talk about what the algorithms are. So I'm referring back to an old piece of content that's related. So this is you letting your content build upon itself. So layering stuff. This is all going to go into your topic. So the reason I'm saying this is because You might say, well, I already covered that. Okay, great. We'll cover it again. Either cover it again and refer back to the original or go deeper. Like this is all about repurposing ideas too. And so it's all super, super critical. Okay. So just a recap on repurposing: the core content swap, the core content breakdown, and then of course, resharing that content for sure. So I want to make sure that you guys, we covered repurposing, because I think repurposing is one of those really important areas where people get stressed out and they get overwhelmed when it comes to all these content things. And so one of the things I will also share with you guys really quick is, and in the link for my replay page, is I will have this core content, a link to this core content worksheet. So I've got a quick sheet here that will help you break it down, the concepts of the core content. I also have a podcast episode where I talk all about it, and I go into that a little bit deeper so that you guys can have that. The other thing I'm going to make sure I share with you guys is a link for you to get this list. So sometimes people, let me zoom out a little bit so that it's not so big. Well, here's the deal. This freebie has 50 ideas for you. Now it's for live video. It's for live video. But here's the thing. These ideas absolutely apply to pre-recorded video, to podcast episodes. A bunch of these videos or these ideas can be applied to whatever content you want to make. It can be applied to just social media posts, right? So these are great ideas, whether live video is part of your strategy or not. Dear God, I hope it is, because I think it's amazing. But this is also a freebie that I'll make sure. So on the replay page that I will share, I will update all the videos that are out on social, and all the replay will be on there, and the links to all these freebies and guides will be there for you as well. So I wanted to make sure that you knew about that. But the reason I wanted to talk about the repurposing at the end was because you're going to start creating ideas. And as you create more content, you are going to have all these opportunities to. So hold on one second. I will be right back. Hold on. My boyfriend's son is at my door. I think he locked himself out of his house. Be right there. Hold on. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. Okay, I'm back. Sorry. Yes, he totally locked himself out of the house. Okay, let me look. Where was I? Oh yeah. So here's the deal. Use this as a resource for you to come up with more ideas. It could absolutely be totally great, totally impactful. The whole point is, yeah, you're gonna have. I'm sorry. Nyla says, "This is awesome that we will have the notes, multitasking like so many of us." Yeah, I know. Right? I get you. I got you covered. So these are resources you're going to have in there. Nyla, you're also in the boot camp, and we're going to go through all this stuff. That is actually one of the things I also wanted to make sure that you guys were aware of, is that if you're one of my boot campers, we're going to actually go through this stuff. We're going to create a plan. One of the key strategies, one of the key elements that we're going to focus on is creating your plan for next year. So that is one of the resources I provide to you. You get all those resources I just provided along with a bunch of other stuff, the calendar resource as well. But that is one of the biggest things we're going to do first, is we're going to start by making a strategy. You're going to have videos and coaching and teachings for you to create that strategy. And so if you don't want to create the strategy by yourself, and you are also ready to make live video part of your strategy for 2021, I have to make sure you understand that the doors to my bootcamp close tomorrow night, right? They close tomorrow night at midnight. And so I've got Nyla's in the bootcamp, Tara's in the bootcamp, Angela's in the bootcamp, a couple of the others that were on here earlier, they're in the bootcamp. I'm really, really excited, but I also want to make sure that you understand, like, doors are closing tomorrow. They're closing tomorrow at Wednesday night at midnight. But we are going to create a plan. Everything we just talked about is part of this program. You're actually going to have resources for you to create that plan and repurpose content. Live video is one of the best formats. So whether you're blogging or podcasting or doing whatever, Nicole brought it up earlier. She said, should I have a different video strategy for my page versus my group? Well, maybe. We're going to talk about that, but we're going to talk about how to use live video to get more work or more legs out of your other content as well. Or maybe you're just starting in content. Maybe you're not creating blogs or podcasts or anything yet. Well, live video is one of the easiest. It is. Once you learn the process, once you get over the things, you learn to step into it and embrace it, which we work on getting over the fear, right? Live video is as easy as clicking the button and going. I know it's not that easy though. It's scary. It's not, right? But when it comes to creating content, it's the fastest, simplest way to create content. It truly is. You literally have everything right here in your hand to start creating regular content. And you can do it with live video. And then maybe you layer in blogging. Then maybe you layer in podcasting. Then maybe you layer in, now that you feel good on video, doing it this way, you're going to start creating some pre-recorded videos for YouTube. Or you're going to take those live videos and repurpose them into a podcast, into a blog, into a YouTube video. Right? And so we talk about all that stuff in this bootcamp. We do it all. And there's a tech library that's going to help you if you've never done it, if you don't know what you're doing, if you want to learn how to use a StreamYard software like I've got. I have a whole tech library on all those things. And so I want to make sure you guys understand that this bootcamp is open right now, but doors do close tomorrow night. And so I would love to welcome you. If you have any questions at all about it, DM me. Send me an email. If you have my email, I will send you a personalized video response back and I will help you get unstuck, get off the fence. Just don't sit on the fence anymore. We do have bonuses that are going to be a part of it. As I mentioned, Heather Sager is going to be a guest in the program. I also have Canva templates for you guys. So what do I mean by Canva templates? Canva is an amazing tool that you can design your own assets. You can create social media stuff with it. It's freaking awesome. You should be using it if you're doing your own marketing, right? You can create GIFs and overlays. You can also create the countdown timer videos. But instead of starting from scratch, I'm going to help you get started. I'm going to provide you with template packs so that all you have to do is download your own template from me, and then you're just going to tweak and edit, and you'll be ready to go as you get started with these new wonderful digital assets for your live videos. So I want to make sure that you knew about that. But again, the doors are closing tomorrow, right? They're closing tomorrow night, Wednesday. Now, some people say, I'm not ready for video yet. I'm not ready for live video. Maybe again, are you going to offer it again? I will tell you that I do plan to offer this bootcamp again next year, but it may not be the same program. In fact, it's probably going to be a more enriched program. It might be different. It will be more expensive if that is the case. I don't know exactly when I'm going to offer it yet, but I do plan to offer it again later in the year. However, why are you stuck? Why are you not ready? Why are you not ready? Why not make it now? Why not make this happen? And I will tell you, if you feel that you're not ready because you don't have the equipment, or you don't know what equipment you need, or you're not confident about what you're going to say or how you're going to look, we talk about all those things. I will help you get ready. I want to help you get ready. And the reason why I'm very passionate about this is because I know how hard it is to create podcast episodes. I know how hard it is to create pre-recorded videos. You feel like you have to be perfect. I know how I freaking hate writing blog posts, you guys. I hate writing. I know because I've done it enough. Now that I've gotten over all that other crap, because I used to hate myself on video too. I used to not feel comfortable with the gear, the tech I was using. I felt very nervous. I was like, what is happening? Is anybody even going to watch this? What do I say? I've done this enough. I've worked with enough people. I also know the results you can get. So I'm passionate about it, because even though it sounds like the scariest, most terrifying freaking thing ever to use live video, to be live on video, to create content regularly, it's actually one of the easiest, quickest ways to create content. It truly is. And I'm passionate because of the results I see. That like, know, and trust factor that we talked about earlier, live video speeds that process up. It is so much faster. So we were talking about the plumber. Well, none of you guys are in the plumbing business. I'm going to say that I'm pretty certain that nobody here is in the plumbing business. Now, I would think I could have a blast helping you with a live content strategy if you're in the plumbing business for sure. But literally, we don't have all the time in the world. So you say you're not ready. Okay, well, when will you be ready? It's kind of like having a baby. You're not ready. You're never ready. It just happens. And then you make it work and you make it happen, right? And you see results. Lynn is here. Lynn actually took my boot camp earlier in the summer, and she's going to join us again this time. And she says the Canva tips were a huge time saver. I also happen to know that Lynn's numbers, like 1,000%, like 2,200% increase in engagement on her and her husband's insurance agency page. So Lynn has seen major results in the engagement, in the growth, in the reach. She's been able to repurpose her live videos into ads as well. And so I'm sure Lynn didn't think they were ready either, right? But we got them ready. You are never ready until you're ready. I will say that. And so if it sounds overwhelming, if it sounds like you don't think you're ready, is it that you're not ready, or is it that it's scary? Because I know it's scary. It is scary. Like it should be scary, but that doesn't mean that you're not ready. right? If you aren't ready is one thing, but what about your customers? What about the people who need you to share your gifts with them? What about your audience? What about your business? What about your goals? Are they ready for you to start embracing live video? Are they ready for you to speed up the like, know, and trust factor? You may not feel ready, but what about everything else? What about your goals? What about your business? What about quitting that 9-to-5 jobs because you're waiting on your business to take off? What about your family goals, your revenue goals? Again, are those things ready for you to embrace live video? If they are, and you feel scared, don't let that hold you back, because I promise you that this is a boot camp. This is not just a course. It is a course. It will teach you what you need to know. You're going to develop a strategy. You're going to learn the know-hows, the how-tos, how to look good, sound good. We talk about gear. We talk about tech. We talk about all the things, but it's a boot camp. I'm going to get you into action, and you're going to practice, because that's the only thing that's going to get you ready. That's the only thing that's going to get you over your fears. That's the only thing that's going to get you feeling confident and more comfortable, is doing it and taking action. And we do it inside of our community. It's private. It's safe. So you can try things out. You're going to get coached. You're going to get mentored. This time I'm doing it different. I'm pre-recording everything, and I'm going to focus my energy on working with you, getting you over the fears, getting you practice, giving you feedback, giving you an opportunity to practice interviews, giving you feedback on your set, all those things. We had a blast last time. We had fun. Lynn, it was fun. I mean, we had a lot of fun. Lynn says, I was scared when we started. She was. I remember when Lynn joined. I remember. And she says, when you take Melanie's boot camp, that will give you the confidence to be ready. I know it's scary, but don't let your fears hold you back. So either you're scared, or your business and your goals and all those things truly aren't ready for you to embrace live video and speed up the like, know, and trust factor and make things happen in 2021. But I want you to be really honest with yourself. What is it? And if you are on the fence and if you are scared, I want you to send me a DM. I want to know why. I've been working with people all week. I've been messaging with people all week. I will send you a personalized video response. I'll give you my honest opinion. We'll talk through it. I'll hop on the phone if you need to hop on the phone. I just don't want you to, this time, next week, or when the boot camps or January rolls around, or when February rolls around, and you're like, damn, should have done that. Because you probably already know you should be doing live video because you see other people doing it. And if you've been listening to me, hopefully you know you should, because I'm so passionate about it. But there's something holding you back. I want to talk about what's holding you back. I don't want it to hold you back anymore, because I want you to start getting those results. And the sooner you get yourself, you get yourself ready to say yes to it and embrace it, the sooner you will get over that fear, and the sooner you'll be ready, right? The sooner you'll be ready. But again, I want you to ask yourself, is your business ready? Are your goals ready? Or are we playing small? Let's be honest with ourselves. So I will be offering this again. I just don't know when, and I don't know if it'll be the same program, but doors do close tomorrow. So I want to make sure everybody knows that, so that you can make a decision and just get off the fence. So even if you don't decide to join the bootcamp, that is okay. Make that decision. Let's move forward. I would love, though, for you to join my Facebook community, DIY Marketing with Melanie, because we have fun in there. This is the stuff we talk about all the time. And I want you to jump in and hang out with us. A lot of the people that we're joining here live, they're part of my community, and we do Q&As. Tomorrow we have a holiday party. Join us now. Just go find DIY Marketing with Melanie on Facebook and join us for the holiday party. We're going to do some giveaways. We're going to have a lot of fun. But just join us there. If the boot camp's not right, I don't care. That's okay. But don't stop learning. Don't stop hanging out with us, because we can't do this alone. Doing this stuff alone is like awful. It sucks. So join the community and join others that are doing their own marketing themselves, DIY style too. That's what I wanted to say to you. You guys, thank you so much for being here. We went a little over. I apologize for that. But I will be updating all of these video links, and they will have, Kevin's here. Kevin's part of our group. Hello, Kevin. I love Kevin. But I will be updating the links with the replay, and those links I mentioned, of course, before. Those will get updated tonight. And so make sure that you come back to those if you want to get the replay, if you need to get that replay. But if you're on the fence about the boot camp, don't sit on the fence. Let's make a decision. So send me a DM, and I would love to communicate with you and help you get off that fence. And if you're ready to join, then I would love to welcome you into the boot camp. I would love to welcome you and help you start working on those goals for next year, and help you take action and help you get over those fears and actually have fun with video. It is fun. I love it. So you can get there too, I promise. All right, everybody. Thank you so, so much for watching. I appreciate everything, all of you for being here. And as you know, if you've been here a while, the drill is this. Now it's time to go be awesome. Thanks again, you guys.